This is a super short, simple video. And it's about doing this, having your cursor show up wherever and having the path being found. It turns out really simple, but when I tried to look up how to do this, or even what it's called, God knows. Let's get rid of the grid lines. And there, I use right click for this to happen, and boom, they go and do their thing. And then I did implement, you hit space to pause, but you can't resume, but you can pick a new direction, because this is the basics I figured out yesterday of how just to do this, and I'm still using a sprite for it. But it turns out it's really simple. You have to think, okay, I'm going to have to check the mouse cursor position every single frame, basically. And then what I got to do from that, I'm using A star. My movement script is A star. That's all in my old videos. Then I just have to rewrite so I find the path during the process. But then I have to deal with the solid cells. And so I just threw this together. I threw this process. Awaiting tree create timer 0.1.timeout. Don't ask why, because I don't know. It just seemed like a good thing to do. And I have a moving proc. So in the follow path, I have this whole thing that I wasn't using, but it was a moving boolean whether the player's vehicle was moving or not. So I found a purpose for it here. So if the vehicle isn't moving, then it will go ahead and get global mouse position, then convert that to local to map mouse position. I'll take a cell and I'll get the source ID of that mouse position, where the mouse pointer is at that particular time. If the cell doesn't equal -1, which means there's no cell there, and I have to put cell not equal to 0, because if you just do and not equal to 0 and not equal to minus, it doesn't work. I have to use the actual cell for some reason. Probably did something wrong. Don't know. Don't care. But as long as the cell is not any of these are all my solids on the map. That is generated when it creates the grid. Then for me, it just prints the cell, which in this case was cell 23. All of these were cell 23. Oh, because I wasn't doing anything. And then it prints the mouse position. And mouse position at this point is in local coordinates, not global. You have to grab the mouse position with global coordinates, then convert it to local so that you can muck with the tile map, because the tile map is local. And then if you really want to muck with the tile map, you got to get down and dirty. So then temp start equals tile map local to map. This gets the player's position for the find path that we're going to have to do. So this is the player's position, and end position equals mouse position that we converted to local to map up here. The cell, that was just so that if the cell passed all of this, then we go and we get the player's position. We transfer the mouse position to end just because I don't know why. Clear the ID path, clear the point path. Again, not sure why. Then we find the path of the beginning and the end. So again, the beginning is where the player is, and the end is wherever the mouse is. And because since this is being done in a process, it does this every frame. And once I have another, so the find path just finds the path. It takes in a start and an end, and our start and our end is temp start and end, and uses these variables within this to get the path. And I have an input event, and that is for space, which I have to change because space also deals with something else and it ain't working. So I either got to make the other thing not work or change this. But I mainly had it set up for is action, just press right click. And this is kind of where I'm using the moving stuff. And again, this is very basic. There are things I want to add on to this, but this is just simply how you do it, because the point is you have to check where the mouse pointer is every frame. And then if the mouse pointer isn't over a cell that you want, you have to ignore it. And if it is over a pointer you want, you have to find the path to that from, for in this case, where the player is to where the mouse pointer is. And once you have the path, if there is a right click in this case, that path is confirmed, so you have to follow that path. So the input's just doing the right click. If it passes some things here, like not solid and junk like that, it will go and do the follow path script. And again, this is all A*2D code that were in my old movement videos. In fact, this is the original A*2D because it's on the player stuff and not the background players. So that's just a real quick sum of, if this is something you want in your game, how to do it. And you're going to have some kind of obstacle system, and then you'll work with that obstacle system. In my case, I'm just using solids with A*2 grid. So this is everything that is not a road or a town is solid. And these, I haven't put in 100% solids, but in this code, this movement code, not in these guys' movement code, but in this player's movement code, that is still considered, or did I take that out? Maybe that's not considered a solid anymore. Yeah, I got tired of it because this would show it's a clear path, and then you click the button, and then suddenly they're going this other way to get down there because the movement code itself still saw this X as a solid. But I hope this gives somebody an idea about, it only happens when the vehicle isn't moving. Now, space stops the vehicle, so it can happen again. But space, if you close this, space also opens and closes that again. So that's the issue with my current space and that. So this is pretty awesome. I stopped programming early. I also did the grid lines yesterday, and I celebrated and went to bed at 8:30. Everybody have a great day.